Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball recap for Friday, March the 6th. Well, it's Saturday already, you say. Well, what happened is Charleston Southern and Georgia State had a long rain delay, or lightning delay at least, and did not finish the game until after midnight, and that's why I'm so late getting this together. There were 24 games involving state teams played on Friday. In the big game of the day for statistics-wise, Jackson Mullen of Florence Darlington Tech pitched a 5-inning perfect game as the Stingers beat USC Salkehatchie 12-0 in the first game of a 3-game Region 10 series at Daly Field in Florence. Jacob Brown had 3 hits, drove in 5 runs for the Stingers, who have won 7 straight games. They're now 20-5 overall and 5-1 in the conference. Mullen struck out 7 in that 5-inning perfect game. Salkehatchie fell to 3-20. Down in Conway, great game between Coastal Carolina and East Carolina. The Chanticleers took a 4-1 lead into the 8th inning, but East Carolina struck for 5 runs against the Chants bullpen, went up 6-4. Then the Blake Barthol hit a 2-run single off the first baseman's glove for East Carolina in the bottom of the inning to tie the score at 6. The Chants got the leadoff runner to third base in the 9th inning, could not get him across. Then in the 10th inning, another leadoff double, second straight inning with a leadoff double. Dean Mijos got the double. He got sacrificed to third. After a couple of intentional walks, that brought up Watson behind 0-2, a left-hander batting against a left-hander. He blasted one just to the right of the bullpen over in left field, and that gave the Chanticleers the walk-off win. Coastal is now 8-5. East Carolina fell to 7-6-1. Of course, that's the opener of a 3-game series at Springbrook Stadium. Should be more excitement going on down there. Always seem to be a lot of things going on in that series. Walker Mitchell was 3 for 6 with a run scored and 2 RBI for Coastal Carolina, who is, as I said, is now 8-5. Over at Clemson, Tristan McClatty homered and drove in 3 runs as the Tigers run ruled LaSalle 14-1 to open a 4-game series. The Tigers fell behind 1-0 after the top of the first, quickly took the lead, and went on to win it in run rule fashion. Clemson improved to 12-1. Jaron Purify and Tyler Lichtenberger added 2 hits apiece for the Tigers. Dylan Harrison went the first 4 innings to get the win. The LaSalle fell to 8-3. The Explorers are in their first season back after a 4-year hiatus because of COVID. The school dropped baseball after the 2021 season. David Miller was the coach then. He left, went to D3 school, I believe it was, for a year. Then he went to Manhattan for a couple of years, moved back to LaSalle when they reopened the program. So David Miller, the ex-Tiger, of course. Elsewhere, down at Patriots Point, Carter Harrington allowed 2 hits and 5 shutout innings, and College of Charleston opened Coastal Athletic Association play with a 5-1 win over Hofstra. The series was supposed to be played in New York, but because of weather issues, they moved it down to Patriots Point. Hofstra did serve as the home team in that game. They will do it for the last 2 games of the series as well. The Cougars improved to 6-7 and 1-0 in the CAA. Hofstra fell to 0-7 and 0-1. And for the college, Ethan Plyler had a triple and drove in 2 runs. Elsewhere, after a long weather delay, Charleston Southern scored 8 runs in the 6th inning to take control of the game and beat Georgia State by a score of 15-7. As I said, that game ended after midnight. The Buccaneers improved to 11-2. Georgia State fell to 9-6. Alex Marat had 4 hits and drove in 3 runs for the Buccaneers, while Nathan Martinez also had 4 hits for Charleston Southern. Elsewhere, Wofford recovered from a 4-run first inning for Belmont and went on to take the series opener against the Bruins by the score of 11-8. It snapped a 2-game losing streak for Wofford, which improved its record to 9-4. Belmont fell to, I couldn't find it. Belmont fell to 5-9. For the Terriers, Andrew Manley had a single homer, scored twice, and drove in 4 runs. Elsewhere, the Citadel got off to an early 5-1 lead against Kentucky. tried to hold on. Kentucky kept scratching back, and then they erupted and wound up scoring the game's final 9 runs and won the game by a score of 10-5. The Wildcats improved to 12-2 overall. The Citadel fell to 5-6. Excuse me. For the Citadel, Jaden Williams was 3 for 5 with a double, a stolen base, and 2 runs scored. Also, out in Austin, Texas wrapped up a 14-2 run rule win over USC Upstate with a 6-run eighth capped by a grand slam by Anthony Pack Jr. The Longhorns are now 13-0. Upstate fell to 7-8. The Spartans were led by Gage Griggs, who homered, walked, and scored both runs. Also, at my mind's gone blank again. In Auburn, the host Tigers snapped Winthrop's 8-game winning streak with an 10-0 run rule win on the Plains. The Tigers are now 11-2. Winthrop fell to 10-3 with that shutout loss. For Winthrop, Corey Walters had a double. Also, the last game involving a State Division I team, Appalachian State scored 2 runs in the 9th inning and beat Presbyterian by a score of 7-5. That handed the Blue Hoods their 12th straight loss since opening day. Reliever Tyrell Williams struck out 9 in 5 2/3 shutout innings for PC. That's a really good effort. Appalachian State, coached by former Lander coach Kermit Smith, improved to 8-5. Bo Moody was 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs for PC. Elsewhere in the Appalachian Athletic Conference, Travis Daneker pitched a complete game 3-hitter in Game 1, and Brady Jeffcoat drove in 2 runs as Spartanburg Methodist beat Pikeville by a score of 5-1. However, in Game 2, Pikeville came back to win 7-5. The Pioneers are now 8-11 overall, 2-6 in the Appalachian Athletic Conference. Pikeville is 11-5 and 5-3. For the Spartans, Tanner Martin had a homer and 2 walks in Game 1. Elijah Franz had a couple of hits and a run scored in Game 2. Up in Bluefield, Virginia, Columbia International scored the game's final 3 runs, including an unearned run in the 10th inning, and beat Bluefield by a score of 12-11. The Rams are now 6-18 overall, 4-6 in the conference. Bluefield fell to 5-9 and 0-6. For Columbia International, Eli Musgraves was 2 for 4 with a walk, a hit batsman, 3 runs scored, and 2 RBIs. The Rams are now 6-18 overall, 4-6 in the conference. I believe I said that. I may have to repeat it. I'm sorry. In Tigerville, Josh Folks strangled twice and homered to drive in 4 runs, and North Granville cruised to a 13-0 win over Mount Olive in the opener of a Conference Carolina series. The Trailblazers are now 17-2, 8-2 in the conference. Mount Olive fell to 9-7 and 4-6. The Trailblazers scored 12 runs over their final 3 at-bats. Also for North Granville, Matty Brown went the first 7 innings, allowed 6 hits, and struck out 3. In the down at Due West, Erskine drew 3 bases-loaded walks in a 6-run 3rd inning and went on to beat Southern Wesleyan by a score of 10-3 in the opener of a series down there. The Flying Fleet improved to 8-14 overall, 6-4 in the conference, and Southern Wesleyan fell to 6-14, 2-8. Marion McManus singled, homered twice, and drove in 3 runs for Erskine, and as well Eric Santaguida went 6 2/3 innings, got the win, and allowed only 1 earned run. In another Conference Carolinas game, Riley Orr had 4 hits and scored 3 times as Francis Marion took the opener of a series at Barton by the score of 10-6. The Patriots got 6 innings of shutout ball from Eze Rojas. He struck out 8, and as I say, he did not allow a run in that game. For the Riley Orr had 4 hits and scored 3 times for the Patriots in that game. Francis Marion is now 8-2 overall, 8-2 in the conference, 16-3 in overall. Barton fell to 3-12 and 2-8. Not a good night for the state's Peach Belt Conference teams. They went 0-4. Harris Batchelder's 9th inning homer gave Augusta a walk-off 4-3 win over Lander in that series. The Jaguars improved to 12-8 overall, 8-2 in the conference. Lander fell to 12-8 and 6-4. Jake Larson went 7 innings, allowed 2 runs, and struck out 7 for the Bearcats. Flagler had to USC Buford its 5th straight loss by the score of 9-1. For the For Flagler, they were now 13-6 overall, 3-4 in the conference. Beaufort fell to 4-13 and 0-10. T.J. McClooney had a single and a stolen base for Beaufort. Riley, a first-inning grand slam got North Georgia going, and the Nighthawks beat Claflin by a score of 19-4 in a game called after 7 innings because of the run rules. It was the 12th straight win for North Georgia over the Panthers. North Georgia, which is coached by former South Carolina pitcher Nolan Belcher, is 16-5 overall, 9-1 in the conference. Claflin fell to 3-14 and 0-10 in the league, and they've lost 12 straight games. Columbus State wiped out an early deficit and beat USC Aiken by a score of 5-3 to snap a 4-game winning streak by the Pacers. For the Pacers, Johan Rodriguez was 3 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. In the South Atlantic Conference, Jacob Clark pitched a complete game, and Newberry scored the game's final 5 runs to beat Coker 5-3 in a series opener in Hartsville. The Wolves improved to 12-7 overall, 8-2 in the conference. Coker fell to 4-15 and 4-6. For Newberry, Chandler Mims had a single, a double, a run scored, and an RBI. In another South Atlantic Conference game, Lincoln Memorial scored 3 runs in the 8th and held off an Anderson rally to win that game 6-5 in the first game of a series at Anderson Memorial Stadium. The Rail Splitters are now 12-9 overall, 6-4 in the conference. Anderson fell to 14-6 and 4-6. For Anderson, Riley Matthews had a homer and drove in 2 runs. In the HBCUAC, Wilberforce scored 9 runs in the 6th inning of Game 2 and swept Voorhees in a doubleheader. The game scores were 8-5 in Game 1, 16-11 in Game 2. Voorhees is now 1-12 overall, 0-2 in the conference. Wilberforce is 7-4 and 2-0. Ethan Farrell had 4 hits and 4 RBI for Voorhees in that twin bill. Also for Voorhees, Raquan Wedderburn had 2 hits and 2 RBI in Game 1. And as they fell again to 1-12. In junior college play, we mentioned that game between Florence Darlington Tech and USC Salkehatchie. Again, 12-0, perfect game for Jackson Mullen. How about some games beyond the border? There were a lot of surprises in college baseball on Friday. Lafayette beat number 13 NC State by a score of 13-6. Virginia beat North Carolina 13-3. The Tar Heels were number 8. High Point beat number 9 Florida 7-2. Boston College beat number 24 Miami 8-7 in 11 innings. That reminds me that ACC play did start for several teams. It did not start for Clemson. Columbia beat number 23 West Virginia 7-4. Notre Dame beat Duke 10-4. Gardner-Webb run-ruled Oklahoma State 19-5. In Division II, Georgia Southwestern out of the Peach Belt Conference beat number 1 NCAA Division II ranked Tampa by a score of 2-1. Belmont Abbey scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th with a walk-off 10-7 win over UNC Pembroke in the Conference Carolinas play. How about the schedule for Saturday? Let's take a look at what's going on. We've already had several games that have been changed in some way. The Sunday game for Charleston Southern at Georgia State has now been changed to a doubleheader at noon on Saturday. Also, the Wofford at Belmont game has been pushed back because of weather issues. It's now going to start at 5 p.m. on Saturday. And the Citadels game 2 at Kentucky has been pushed back. It's going to start at 7 p.m. Let's start again with the entire schedule for Saturday. Francis Marion is at Barton for a doubleheader at 11. Charleston Southern is at Georgia State at noon for that doubleheader I just mentioned. Voorhees is at Wilberforce for a noon game at Xavier University in Cincinnati. Wilberforce schedule says it's a doubleheader. I do not believe it is. We'll find out. LaSalle and Clemson play a doubleheader. First game is at 12. Second game they have listed as at 4. I don't know if they'll move it up if game 1 ends quicker or not. Mount Olive is at North Greenville for a doubleheader at noon. Newberry is at Coker for a noon doubleheader. Southern Wesleyan is at Erskine for a doubleheader at noon. Spartanburg Methodist is at Pikeville at noon for the final game of that series. USC Salkehatchie and Florence Darlington Tech play a doubleheader at noon. Columbia International is at Bluefield at noon for a doubleheader. Edward Waters is at Benedict, the opener of a SIAC series, 1 o'clock at Tiger Field in Columbia. The Gaston College is at USC Union in Region 10 play, doubleheader at 1 o'clock. Hofstra is at Charleston, College of Charleston at 1 o'clock. Actually, the Cougars will be the visiting team again. Lincoln Memorial and Anderson play a doubleheader at 1 at Memorial Stadium in Anderson. Morris opens the series at Virginia State with a 1 o'clock doubleheader. North Georgia is at Claflin for a doubleheader at 1. Presbyterian and Appalachian State move their 3-game series to a neutral site on Saturday. They'll be playing at LP France Stadium in Hickory at 1 o'clock. They'll finish the series Sunday in Boone. Princeton and South Carolina began a 3-game series with a 1 o'clock doubleheader on Saturday. They play game 3 on Sunday. USC Sumter is at USC Lancaster for a doubleheader at 1. Columbus State is at USC Aiken at 2. East Carolina and Coastal Carolina play game 2 of that thrilling series at 2. USC Beaufort is at Flagler at 2. USC Upstate and Texas play game 2 of that series at 3. Lander and Augusta play at 4. Wofford is at Belmont at 5. The Citadel is at Kentucky at 7. And Winthrop tries to bounce back from its loss to Auburn with a 7 o'clock game in Auburn. That's all the scores and the schedule for Saturday. You can always keep up with games in progress by following me on X. The handle is Palmetto Base. I have scores and schedules, links to box scores, etc. at PalmettoStateBaseball.com. And you can email me at rudyjones@PalmettoStateBaseball.com with questions or issues you'd like to see me address, or just different types of things you'd like to see covered. For now, this is Rudy Jones with the South Carolina College Baseball recap for Friday, March the 6th. Remember, Jesus loves you, and good morning.